And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and it is time to do the point guard tier list. I am dripped out, as the children say, in my finest 1974 tennis shirt. I think it's for tennis. I don't know. People in the 70s were dressing in really anything to play sports, so I don't know, dude. For all I know, this could be a hoop shirt. I truly have no idea. It's realistically probably a tennis or a golf shirt. 100% came from a country club for sure. Call me Leisure Suit Larry Bird. Let's get into the tier list. Look, does anybody remember Leisure Suit Larry? Probably not. That absolute trash fire of a franchise. If any franchise needs to be just shot into the sun from our consciousness, it's probably Leisure Suit Larry. That was not a good title. That was not a good series. Look, we've talked about the tier list before. Most of you are watching my channel not for the first time, so you already know what's going on with the tier list. But for those of you, there's 5 of you that are stumbling across this video for the first time, I guess we'll just kind of go over it a little bit. S tier, unquestionable best cards in the game. A tier, just a shade under S tier. I would say the point guard tier is the most unbalanced of all the positions in NBA 2K22 My Team. And I don't even think it's remotely close. Like, the difference between the S tier and the A tier guys is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I'll touch on that once we get to that point. B tier, majority of the community are going to be using guys in the B tier for sure. And there's going to be guys who you think should be B tier that are C tier, and guys who are B tier that you think should be A tier, possibly even S tier if you're insane. So, you know, try to touch on that when it gets there. D tier and C tier, I mean, very solid cards. This is where a lot of your cards that were once elite that are now outdated are going to end up. I would say C tier cards are cards that can still do like 2 or 3 things really, really well, or are good for like a couple modes. And I'll kind of, like I said, specify that. F tier, I mean, they're not trash, but they're basically trash. And trash tier, they're trash. Pop the collar efficiently before I get started here. Looking like a 1980s ski lodge villain. Let's go. I look like my name's Chandler or like Hutch or something. Ben Simmons, C tier. Yeah, I would say C tier. I mean, he's still got a huge player build. He can't shoot, but he can still play defense and stuff. He's definitely usable for certain modes and things like that. I'd C tier makes sense. I'm going to try to cruise through some of these. I have 176 cards to go through. I am not trying to record a 64-minute video. I'm sorry. That is too much for me. Brandon Jennings, C tier. He's still very efficient. For sure. Once evoed with that jump shot, chef's kiss. Fantastic. Chauncey Billups, B tier. Now, I do try to factor in things like intangibles for cards. Like Chauncey Billups will get slightly higher grade because he does have that dynamic duo with Ben Wallace, which makes Ben Wallace really usable on the offensive end, and he's one of the best defensive cards in the game. So I give him a little plus couple points here. I also didn't mention this, but most people know. I rank them within the tiers. So if a card is at the very top of C tier, it is not the same rank as the card at the very bottom of C tier. This is important because people always get mad when they see a card they like in the same tier as a card they don't like. It's not that serious, okay? Craig Hodges, F. He's not quite as bad as people have said. Like, that's about the most positive thing I could say about Craig Hodges. He's probably a wonderful human being. I don't know much about Craig Hodges. It's just the name sounds very wholesome. Or very perverse. I'm not entirely sure which one. When you hear Craig Hodges, you either think he's like the nicest guy on the planet, or he's done some horrible crimes. You're not really sure. Yuta, trash. I know he's a meme or whatever, but he's bad. He's like real bad. Jamal Murray. This card was actually pretty decent when he came out. He'll end up being at the bottom of C tier, possibly top of D tier, but the card's not terrible, and I think the Dark Matter one will be pretty good, honestly. Patrick Beverley. I mean, you could argue that he's better than Craig Hodges. I don't think it cares. Like, does it matter? No, I really don't think so. Big Russ, D. Yeah, Evo'd Russ is probably D tier. He's decent. He can shoot and stuff. Obviously, he's like lacking in the badge department, but he's good. Like, Russ is not terrible this year compared to normal. He's actually pretty okay, especially with that 0 3-point tendency. That's very clutch against the CPU, and that does need to be factored into his ranking. Steve Kerr. He's F. He's like objectively worse than these two. I mean, yeah, he's pretty bad. His jump shot is pretty horrendous. Caruso. I think Caruso overall is better than Chauncey Billups. Chauncey is a better 3-point hunter for sure, but Caruso is a little bit better at everything else. So I would say Caruso is B tier, though. He's like one of the premier budget point guard options. There's no way around it. Oh, level 40 AI, C. I would also put Pink Diamond and Diamond AI here since they're basically all the same card anyway. C tier would be appropriate. He's still small, but he's really fun to play with against the CPU. He can get buckets for sure. Andre Miller, he is slightly worse than Yuta just based on it being Andre Miller. Yeah, I'd rather use Andre Miller. He can facilitate and play defense. Arvydas Sabonis. See, I'm also trying to factor in their secondary positions a little bit into these rankings. Like, Arvydas Sabonis is a very solid center. On next gen, I would say Arvydas Sabonis is probably a little bit better than like Chauncey, maybe due to his size and paint mashing ability, but I would say somewhere in C tier. I mean, he is still a 7 foot tall, like thick, girthy point guard. You just don't get that anywhere else, you know? Baron Davis, C. Low C tier. Like, Ben Simmons, Jamal, Allen Iverson, and Baron Davis are going to be like the lowest C tier guys, besides like some cards that I just kind of like that I'm putting in there. Norm Nixon. Shout out to Norm Nixon, dude. It's cool. I do like winning time has really given me perspective on a lot of players that I like normally would never have thought twice about. Norm Nixon is one of those. Larry Bird, I found a whole new respect for Larry Bird because they made him such an asshole, and I love it. Was he actually like that in real life? I don't know, but I do like his little wispy mustache and how he's just chilling in Silver Lake? I have no idea. Some little bumble Indiana town just stewing during the NBA Finals. I find that hilarious. Isaiah Thomas, he is such a fun card to use offline. It's just online, you know, you don't want to run a 5'9" point guard, but dunking on centers with Isaiah Thomas is objectively really fun. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in C tier. And like, if this card, let's say they took all the identical stats, badges, everything about this card, and just put a different player model in there, he would be like B tier. So I'll give him C for that. Jason Kidd, very good defender. People were running this card as their main point guard at one point in my team. That's hilarious. I've never seen that with Jason Kidd before. So for that, I'm going to give him D tier, and he's like a very competent defender with a good player build. Horrible jump shot, obviously. John Wall, fantastic. I mean, John Wall's been elite all year. I really like what they did with John Wall this year. It made me really happy because I'm a big John Wall guy. I like him. Is it because he throws up gang signs after doing stuff on the NBA court? Absolutely, 100%. Bill Sharman is 95 years old for some reason in the game. I don't know why. He's like C tier. Bob Cousy, he's just like slightly worse or better Chris Paul. I would say he's worse, so I'd put him in F. Yeah, he's better than Craig Hodges. I can say that, but I'd probably use like Jason Kidd and Norm Nixon over. I actually like this Norm Nixon card. I'm like dead serious. I really like this card. It has nothing to do with winning time. Like, I liked it just for funsies when it came out. Jason White Chocolate Williams, B tier. This card's really good. I would say he's not that different than Chauncey in regards to what he brings you. Chauncey's obviously better on the defensive end, but Jason Williams is a little bit faster with a much better jump shot. So I would put him ahead. On current gen, Jason Williams is incredible. He's super fast. He can facilitate. He can shoot the rock. He's just good. Brandon Jennings just hurts my soul, but F tier. This card was pretty bad. The Trey Murphy SIGs were not helping this card out. Cade, A. He's not quite S tier anymore based on the cards that are in S tier. I feel like they're like so much better that it's ridiculous. Campaign, he's like, all right, D. Mass Chris Paul, F. He's just super outdated, but you can still get buckets with this card. I had to try to get a double-double with him. It wasn't that terrible. Isaac Bonga, he's not very good, and he's not as good as Bonga's been the last couple years, but he's still like C tier royalty. You know what I mean? Ja Morant, outdated for sure, but he's like the best card in D tier. If you have a badged up one, I mean, you could argue it's D tier, but nobody's running him, you know? Dunking Chris Paul, C. For sure. He's just a little bit small. He's a little wee guy. You know what I mean? Shout out to all my short kings out there, but like, Chris Paul's pretty good, I guess. Kobe White, I despise Kobe White, like, as a Bulls fan. And you know what? It's not his fault. He's just super inconsistent, and Bulls fans are natural haters, man. That's what we do. Mainly against our own players, but we'll overvalue everyone else's. That's kind of how Bulls fandom is. And then there's like a subsection of Bulls fandom that overvalues like bench contributors. Marco Bellinelli, Cristiano Felicio, Justin Holiday. These are examples of bench contributors that Bulls fans have elated to being almost superstar level. Nate McMillan, trash. I'm sorry to the one Nate McMillan fan out there. I apologize. I don't know why. they're statistically the same card, but this Jason Kidd just sucks more. And I don't know, it's probably because I was forced to actually use it, but he's a little bit slower, and I don't know, I just hate it, but I'll put him in D tier. He's not that bad. Cole Anthony is pretty fun. D. Corey Joseph. There's a really, really big disparity in Ruby point guards. Ruby point guards are not very good this year at all. There's really not that many outside of Chris Dunn that are usable, like, at all at this point. So I give Corey Joseph props for that, and I would actually probably throw him in C tier. Dame goes C tier for sure. This Dame is pretty fire. He's outdated, but fire. Lou Williams, oh, my boy definitely goes in the lower echelons of C tier. I love this card. Chris Dunn's for sure here too. Like, I probably don't use Chris Dunn over... I might, like, legitimately use Chris Dunn over Allen Iverson, but it really depends on the personnel. But he's really, really good for a Ruby point guard, and I would put him in C tier. This Dame Dalla for sure is B tier. Dame is really good this year. They did a good job with Dame too. I feel like Dame's the most usable he's been outside of, like, a couple key instances in the last couple years. So that's pretty cool. I still think he's lower than Caruso and John Wall. Nah, I put him ahead of John Wall. I forgot, this one's a pretty good defender. D'Angelo Russell is the best card in B tier right now. I'm dead serious. This card is fantastic in every capacity. Like, for a budget point guard, this card is lights out. Like, he plays good defense for some reason. He dunks, he can shoot. He plays for the Nets, which you don't get many Nets point guards, so that's good. Darius Garland, C tier. I would put both the Darius Garlands in here. I'm going to put this one behind Brandon Jennings just for my own sake, but Darius Garland's really good this year too, so that's pretty cool. Darren Collison, I mean, he's not bad enough to be F tier. He's like D tier. Same with Dave Bing. Dave Bing's outdated, but he's like D tier. Both of them, I would say, both deserve to be here. Jalen Suggs, I would say he's B tier. I put him behind Sabonis. I mean, if you're on next gen, Sabonis is better. It really depends on playstyle when it comes to Sabonis. Like, where you rank Sabonis is going to depend entirely on how you play the game. Like, obviously, if you're somebody who wants to run the biggest squad possible and likes to just paint mash, like, you're going to love Sabonis. He's going to be like a top tier option. But if you're just like a regular player, it's probably more advantageous to use one of these other guys in B tier, and that's why I have him ranked lower. Jay Williams, okay, this is a super hot take. I'm sorry, but, like, Jay Williams is, like, up here in B tier. This card is so good, dude. Like, I'm not even kidding. This card is fantastic. And take it from me, I'm wearing a leisure suit. I know what I'm talking about. Davion Mitchell, yeah, I mean, he's D tier. He is an overpowered Sapphire still, which is really useful. But when Jay Williams exists, it's hard for me to put him in C tier. De'Aaron Fox, this card was really good when he came out, but C tier. Like, I think all the guys in B tier are better than him overall. Nate Archibald is probably the best card in F tier, but I hate this card so much that I'm going to put him in F tier. This De'Aaron Fox, outdated for sure, but D. Dick Van Exel, yeah, D tier. You thought he was going to go somewhere else. Jalen Suggs. Suggs isn't very good. Obviously, he is outdated for sure, but he's still a pretty good Sapphire. And I mean, if you need to pick up a Sapphire that can get you wins in TTO, like, or TT, I should say, triple threat, you could do worse than grabbing Jalen Suggs. Like, you could. You really could. Obviously, you should go get Jay Williams. That'll be infinitely more helpful. But if you're just starting out, you could get him for like 800 MT. Like, that's worth it. Jonte Murray, B. Really good defender. He does require some shooting badges to really get going, but he is one of the better defensive cards in this game. I still personally would use Caruso over him just because they're pretty similar in play style, but Caruso comes with a slightly better badge count. So, but DeJounte is really tight as well. Jose Calderon, shout out to my boy F. Tyronn Lue, okay, super hot take. C tier. Hear me out. Is he as good as some of these cards in C tier? Actually, yeah, he kind of is, which is really messed up. Actually, like, I might actually use Gold Ty Lue over Baron Davis because of his jump shot. I'm dead serious. But having a gold card this I was going to say outdated, this, like, overpowered is ridiculous, and he deserves C tier for that. Like, Tyronn Lue is the most overpowered gold card in this game. And if you're not going to do any of the zero gravity stuff, My recommendation is to at least get up to Jay Williams at the bare minimum. Like, you don't need the rubies, you don't need the amethysts. Like, none of them are really going to be that helpful, but man, having those sapphire and below guys is going to be pivotal and limited in the next couple seasons if you plan on playing it. So definitely go do that. This Murray's D tier. He was really good when he came out, though. He was like the best budget point guard in the game for a while. Kyle Lowry, little thick boy, C tier. Louis Dampier, no, he's the top of F tier. I don't care. Louis was my boy. Anybody who watched me at the beginning of 2K22, like literally, Louis was my point guard. That was my boy. It was him and Drew Holiday for a minute. Just ridiculous that those are my point guards. Mo Williams. He can shoot, which is more than I can say for Andre Miller and Nate McMillan, but he does suck. No, I'm throwing him in trash. His jump shot's so slow. I hate it. I just hate it. Diamond Calderon. I mean, yeah, D tier. How much farther away from Darren Collison can I put him? Demar Derozan. This is a stretch, but I think he's low end to B tier. I do. He can't get chef, which is a problem for sure, but he can get everything else that you really need from him. He's not the greatest defender. He's actually a pretty bad defender, but he's got a huge player build, an elite level jump shot. He can move really well. He does have intangibles that definitely encourage using him for sure. He's also got that who is his dynamic duo? Is it Scotty Barnes? I think it is. That's solid. Dennis Schroeder, yeah, he's better than Yuta. No, he's not. He's the worst card that I've used all year. I would be willing to bet. From the minute he came out, he was horrible, so I'm gonna put him in trash. This one's not so bad though. He's like low D tier. Keyword low, but low D tier for sure. That's better. Dennis Smith, dude, I love this card, dude. I'm sorry. He's such a good amethyst point guard. He's just a good point guard in general, to be honest. I would put him by Jay Williams because they're kind of similar. But this card is really fun to use and really good. His jump shot's clean. Everything's good. Derek Fisher, yeah. Mr. Steal Your Girl, D tier. Derek Harper, Mr. Criminal, D tier. Mike Conley, I like Mike Conley a lot as an amethyst card. He's just outdated. It just sucks too. I wish we got a new Mike Conley card because this card is really fun to use. Darren Williams, as much as I like Darren Williams, I mean, I would probably put him in mine for B tier because I really like the card. But top C tier option is probably where I put him for like an objective between both gens, multiple play style ranking. Ricky Rubio, this card was really good when he came out. Like, I don't know if some people haven't played 2K, so when I talk about these old cards being good, it looks weird. But Rubio was like legitimately a top tier point guard for like 2 weeks, and that's crazy. That's never the case with Rubio. This Russell Westbrook is super outdated, so D. Derrick Rose, B tier. You could argue that him, Dame, John Wall, all four of these guys, you could mix and match them where you want to put them. You could even throw Jason Williams up there. I really like Jason Williams. I wouldn't even be opposed to that, honestly, but I would rank it as such. I think D'Angelo Russell is a little bit better for the vast majority of players. But Derrick Rose, for people who can run Derrick Rose, they can run Derrick Rose. Rondo, F. He plays good defense, but he's not getting ahead of Louis Dampier. Magic Johnson, hot take, S. I might move him down because Magic's jump shot does take a little bit of finesse, and you need to get used to it. But since they changed his dribble sigs, this card is a top tier point guard. Like, is he a top 3? I'm not sure, but that depends on the person. But he deserves to kind of be up here on the Mount Rushmore of point guards. Like, he's one of the best. He's easily top 5, and in the right hands, he could be legitimately top 2. Especially on current gen. On current gen, he's ridiculous. He's good on next gen too, but on current gen, he's good. The only negative on him is that he's 6'9", so he is automatically going to move a little bit slower. Just because this year they've done a good job of making smaller players actually move faster than bigger players for once. But Magic, with his new dribble sigs, his new dribble style, fantastic. Flash Derrick Rose shouldn't even be here, but I'm not going to disrespect my boy Pooh by putting him in F. Can't do it. Well, I guess I can, because this one goes in F. This Derrick Rose is probably C tier. He's not quite as good as the Dark Matter one. It's not as far away as you would expect, but I would throw him like right here. Yeah, that's appropriate. Devin Harris. Devin Harris was kind of decent when he came out. Nobody gave him a shot, but he was all right. Devontae Graham, just outdated. This one I would say is like towards the top of D tier. I actually like the card a lot. Earl the Pearl Monroe. This card is nice. Straight up, very good. I would say he's better than Chris Paul and Dame. Dame's tough. I don't know. I think I like Earl Monroe a little bit more because he plays better defense. So I would say that Earl is a little bit better than these guys, but you could rank them any way that you really wanted to. Tyrese Maxey. Ooh, Maxey is actually really good. I would throw him in B tier. He's a fun card to use. He's not quite as overpowered as the Moments one was at the beginning of the year, but he's good for sure. Eric Bledsoe. Shout out to my boy Eric Bledsoe. He's actually pretty decent. I'd put him in the top of D tier. Yeah, I would rather use Corey Joseph, and I would use Ty Lue over Eric Bledsoe. I would. Corey Joseph, by the way, little pro tip. Corey Joseph and Devin Vassell are going to be two cards you're going to want to pick up this weekend for limited. Go buy them right now. I promise they shoot up in value. Just because we're doing that division, I think that's what, Southwest? Or I don't remember what division the Spurs and the Mavericks and stuff play in, but those Ruby cards are about to shoot up because that division kind of sucks. So guys like Ruby Wang, Corey Joseph, Devin Vassell, Lonnie Walker even, gonna shoot up in value. Eric Snow, shout out to my boy Eric Snow, D. Yeah, I'd throw him like Norm Nixon, Derrick Harper area. Downtown Fred Brown, outdated but F. Stephen Curry. Curry's still a C tier, he's just outdated. Van Vliet did my boy dirty. Ice Tray. Ice Tray goes by Jason Williams. They're pretty similar, to be honest. I think Jason Williams, honestly, is a little bit better, but it just depends what jump shot you like. Trae Young can still move, like, almost the best in the entire game, realistically, when it comes to three-point hunting, and his jump shot is almost impossible to contest because it's so fast. This Trae, if you have a badged up one, I'm going to put him in C. I don't even care. I love this card. This card carried me this year. Tyrese Halliburton, he kind of sucks, but he's still C tier. I don't know if that makes sense, but it does in my head, you know? He's better than Kobe White. I would throw him here. He's all right, yeah. He's got a big player build, a horrible load-up animation on his jump shot, though. Like, it's straight up atrocious. Fred VanVleet, this sucks. I don't want to put him in D tier, but I have to be objective. Gabe Vincent, he's not like... Yeah, he's pretty bad, actually. You know what? We're going to put him down here. Gary Payton. Gary's pretty tough. I don't have this card. I'll be the first to tell you that. So before I rank this card, just know that I do not have this card. Obviously, like, the collector level is huge on this, and I'm just ranking it as I see it. So you could say that Gary Payton's going to be C tier, but I think he's still low B tier, if not top C tier. He's still one of the better defensive cards in the entire game. You can still get a bucket. His jump shot's kind of meh. I like it, though. So I like jump shot 40. That's just me, though. This Chauncey, he's pretty bad, but he's still a lockdown defender and facilitator. D. Gilbert Arenas, D. Bob Sura, oh no. Do I put him in low C tier? I have to. I'm not disrespecting Bob Sura like that. Gilbert Arenas is bad, D. Gus Williams, actually not so terrible. I would throw him like low C tier. He's actually not too bad. Like Jamal Murray, Ben Simmons area. Shumpert, yes. Shumpert's fantastic. I will say that there are issues with Shumpert for sure, which is why I'm going to put him farther back in B tier. He has great size. His flat top makes him look 6'8". He attacks the rim really well. Great dribble sigs. His jump shot misses more whites than any jumper in the game. I swear to God. Like, go try it out for yourself. I promise he will miss more whites on current gen than any card in the game. It is ridiculous how many whites he misses. It's nuts. Isaiah Thomas, I actually still like this card. This card was so much more overpowered than we had anticipated at the time. Crazy. This IT is okay. I put him by like Dave Bing. Jalen Brunson. Brunson's not awful. He's just not very good. Like C tier. He's better than Bill, Sharman, and Garland, I think, though. This Jalen Brunson was not very good when he came out and still continues that trend by not being good now. Maxey was OP when he came out, but it's been a long time since that. This is a hot take. This is a definite hot take. Jaylen Rose is still B tier. He's got a normal time jump shot, I'm pretty sure. Either that or, well, jump shot 32 is relatively slow this year, but he's still so good. Once again, I think people didn't respect this card enough when he came out, but Jalen's, he's there, man. Ja. Yeah, Ja's still good. B tier. I think he's better than, he's better than John Wall. Yeah, you can make a case that he's better than Damian Lillard, Derrick Rose, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. I would group all of those guys. Like all these first 5 guys, I would group all together. At least Derrick Rose, Lillard, Ja, and John Wall, I think, are all kind of the same card. They just all have different jump shots and do things a little bit different. It's really the only difference. Walt Frazier, I think Walt Frazier is actually good enough to be B tier. I'm going to keep Gary Payton here. The point guard position is really weak, and I think Gary Payton still is better than a lot of these guys in C tier. I do. I mean, obviously, if you're a Curry fan, you're going to prefer Curry, but I still think he's better than, like, I prefer Darren Williams, but I think objectively he brings more to the table, in my opinion. Beast John Moran, I think, is C tier. Not quite B tier, but solid. Derrick Rose over John Morant always. I really like John Morant, but as a Derrick Rose and Chicago Bulls fan, I'm not going to admit that John Morant is better yet. I don't care what you guys say in the comments. It doesn't matter. I'm never going to change my mind until next year when he, actually plays a full season. Jason the Jet Terry. This card was sick. This card was so good when he came out. The best 3-point hunter at the time besides Curry. Jason Williams. This Jason Williams is pretty bad. Like, F. This Gary Payton, D tier. I mean, this card was the most overpowered point guard in the world for a while, at least like a month or so. If you had Gary Payton during season 2, you literally had an advantage for like an entire month. That was not kidding. My man could guard centers. It was, terrible. Well, Ben Simmons, you knew he was coming, S tier. He's probably the best point guard in the game. Overall, I still think, spoiler alert, I think Luke is better offensively. You can make a case for MJ too. I mean, both of them I think are better offensively, but Ben Simmons is the most well-rounded. Jeremy Lin, they're outdated, but these are my boys. They're staying in C tier. Bob Sura, Jeremy Lin, Trae Young, yeah, they have to. Jeremy Lin's the worst for sure. Jerry West, shout out to Jerry West, dude. I hope he's mad somewhere. C. John Stockton, or D. Oh, God, John Stockton's really bad, but he's like D tier. He's not Louis Dampier from season 1 or Gabe Vincent bad. John Wall. This John Wall, slow jump shot, but he could still get buckets. This card was so much better than we had anticipated. I might move him down, though, just because I think the top tier level of C tier are objectively significantly better than the bottom tier, but I do have them ranked all within the tiers for a reason. You know what I mean? Jrue Holiday. He's outdated for sure, but decent. Kemba's outdated, but I put him by like Van Exel. He's like worse Van Exel. Caruso, Amethyst Caruso is really good. I would throw him towards the top of D tier. I'm gonna move Gilbert down. I hate Gilbert, dude. I don't care. This one's bad. Kevin Johnson, terrible human being. Very mid card. D. Rod Strickland, yes. He was actually pretty good. This is the first time we got a usable Rod Strickland this year. Kyle Lowry, outdated for sure. This is the land of the outdated guards down here in D tier. Kyrie, D. This Kyrie, I would say, is C tier by like Darius Garland area. This card can still get buckets. This is a really good free card. I'm glad 2K did something like this. They actually gave us like a good free card for once. I mean, we've been getting some good free content this season. I mean, more locker codes. Like Duarte and Kyrie were fantastic locker codes. Like, straight up. I forgot to even put my thing in big mode. Yeah. This Kyrie, actually not that much of a step down. I would throw him probably in low C tier. He's still usable. LaMelo. He's outdated, but I still think like a badged up LaMelo is like low B tier. Like, I'm dead serious. I can't say he's that much worse than DeRozan, honestly. Kirk Heinrich. He's like low C tier. He still plays incredibly good defense and can shoot the lights out. Barbosa is pretty bad. F. They changed his jump shot, so he's better, but he's really outdated. Lenny Wilkins, I loved this card when it came out. You guys know that. I was repping my boy Lenny. Lonzo Ball, oh yeah, Lonzo's nice. Where is Jay Williams? Yep. This Lonzo card, so imperative that you have this overpowered emerald. I swear he's going to come in clutch. You need to go get this card. This Lonzo, I think, is also B tier. Like, where's Jaylen Rose? Right there. This card came out a while ago. Lucius Allen, he's the best card in trash tier. Okay, here's our Luka Doncic. I would be willing to say, like I said, Ben Simmons is the most well-rounded point guard, so I think he is the best point guard in the game. But I don't know. It's like you can't really rank the guys in S tier. I might have to drop Magic, because as much as I like Magic, I think that he's not as good as Luka, Ben Simmons, and I'll just spoil it, MJ. Look, it doesn't matter. Matt Calvin, he's actually pretty good. People hate on this card, but he's not really terrible. Like, he's okay. It's not worth playing draft for, but this Magic, with his size, he's still low to mid C tier, I think, but not great. This Darren Williams, D, outdated. This Magic, D, it's way too expensive. Marky Mark price, pretty not good. I put him by Jose Calderon. MJ, I think MJ encapsulates the best of both worlds from Ben Simmons and Luka. He brings you, obviously not the size, but the defense of Ben Simmons, but he brings you the offensive mastery of Luka. So I think he's the best card in S tier. Is he the best point guard? I don't think so. He plays really well at the shooting guard, and that's not really his fault. So I'm going to keep him as the top card in S tier. Yeah, MJ's nice. Also, when have I got to say that? Oscar Robertson, A. Maybe I'm incorrect about that, but I really love Big O. Like, Earl Boykins, F tier for sure. Earl and Louis are running F tier. He's obviously 5'5", which is not helpful, or 5'6" or something, but he's not trash. Oscar Robertson, this card wasn't good when he came out. At least this one's an amethyst, so it lowers your overall a little bit. Patty Mills, F. This Patty Mills, like Jose Calderon, Mark Price level. No, I would say he's more Nick Van Exel, Isaiah Thomas, Gilbert Arenas area. Yeah, Big Penny. Big Penny's the best card in D tier. Big Penny ran my team for like a solid 2 months. Pistol Pete Maravich. Pistol Pete's B tier. Like, Pistol Pete's very good. He is. Elite jump shot, pretty nice player build. Like, he moves pretty well. This Pistol Pete was really good when he came out too. He kind of ran my team for a short period of time as well. Rafer Alston. This card did not get the proper respect, but he's probably C tier. I mean, he does have Trey Burke. Or does he have Trey Burke base this year? I think he does. Either way, Rafer is pretty good. I mean, if you have him, he's fun to use. Rondo. He's a great defender, but not much else, so I'd put him by Ben Simmons. Facundo's kind of cool. Put him in D tier. Reggie Jackson, he's not awful. I'll put him in D tier, low D tier. This is a pretty good Sapphire, so I'll put him over here by Jalen Suggs. His jump shot is terrible, but for a Sapphire, like, he's very semi-competent, you know? Robert Loudpack. Yeah, Robert Pack's really good. Like, I'm going to put him up here. Robert Pack is fantastic. I was going to say fabulous. Sick. Ron Harper. Yeah, right next to Ben Simmons and Rondo. I think he is the best out of those guys, but he basically does the same thing. He just plays lockdown defense and is like, can't shoot at all, basically. This Ron Harper, F, for those exact reasons, except he came out day one. Russ, I hate this card. I can't explain why. I really do. This Russ, yeah, probably D tier. This card kind of sucks too. This Russ, I don't like Russ. I really don't. You could argue that he's B tier. I just don't know if I believe that. So I'm going to put him at the top as C tier, and I might move Gary Payton down. Salim Stoudemire, he moves so well, but he's like basically worse Jason White Chocolate Williams. So for that reason, I'm going to throw him over here. That's basically what he is. Scott Skiles, that's my boy, dude. He goes up here in the top of D tier. He's basically just a worse Chris Paul clone. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think both of them kind of go somewhere by like AI, like in the outdated reward card section. Shai's decent. He's got the size. He just requires badges to really get going, but he's not terrible. I literally grinded for limited reward Shai and didn't use him at all. Sleepy Floyd, he's just outdated. That card was tight though. Big Smush, yeah. C tier. Spencer Dinwiddie. His jump shot is atrociously slow. That's really the only thing wrong with this card though. Other than that, he's pretty good. He's got a good dunk package. He moves really well. Good combination of badges. I actually really like this card. I'm gonna put him in B tier. I don't care. I'm doing it. This Dinwiddie, D. Big Steph. Where's the other Big Steph at? Yeah, Big Steph. There we go. Power Within Steph is B tier for sure. He's just one of the best cards in the game in relation to like what he brings your team. His ability to hit leaners is ridiculous. He's one of the best 3-point hunting cards in the game, and he can actually play competent defense, which is new. So I'm going to put him in B tier. The top, Starberry. He stays out of trash tier because he made affordable shoes for children to hoop in, which looked okay. So I respect that. So and he's big up in China. Steve Francis, I wish we got a new Steve Francis card soon. Steve Nash, D. Tim Hardaway is pretty bad, D. Tony Kukoc, he's C tier. I mean, he's 6'10" though. He's pretty beast. Yeah. Tony Parker, I don't like this card, D. Tyus Jones, D as well. He's not terrible. And then Signature Steph would be somewhere in D tier, probably towards the top, I would say. These are like the demons of like season 2 and 3 in here. I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. You always do. I personally like the ranking. I don't know how you guys feel. I mean, I could see somebody arguing that Steph should be A tier based on what he brings you in regards to shooting the 3-ball. It's really up to you though. That's very play style dependent. But I'll be back with the shooting guard tier list another day. I know we're going to get point guards tomorrow because I did the point guard tier list, but we'll see. Peace.